I've never been more scared. I'm in pain. I'm trembling. I'm enraged, outraged, depressed, befuddled, and so on. I'm going to write this for my own personal therapy, and I'm hoping it may assist someone else. A long wall of text is about to appear. TLDR at the bottom. I packed my belongings and departed yesterday. No more deception. There will be no more running away from it. No more personal anguish. I lingered much too long. I took too many risks, and now I'm here. Backstory. My wife of 11 years, we have 2 children together, cheated on me 2 years ago. Technically, it began before that, but I caught her 2 years ago. By the 5th year of our marriage, things were tense. We had begun to drift away. Annoyances turned into resentment. Resentment became into fury, and we began arguing over little things. It was almost as though we were business partners or housemates. We had 1 child at the time and another on the way, so we attempted to work things out. It did not get any better. We didn't communicate at all. I was preoccupied with my profession, and since she had a more flexible job, I expected she would care for the kids, the home, and her work while I concentrated on mine. That was a terrible error in retrospect. I let things fall apart because I took our relationship for granted, and I took her caring for the home and kids for granted. It doesn't justify what she did, but I believe it's beneficial to be able to look back and learn from it for future relationships. I should have contacted with you. I should have done more, but it's too late now. She started to alter a few years later, things that are minor. She began to spend more time on her phone, began to drink more, altered her grooming habits, began to stay up later, began to get irritable when I questioned her what she was doing, and she set a password on her phone. When I challenged her about my concerns, she unloaded on me, screaming that she wasn't doing anything and how could I accuse her, and that I must be projecting, and that maybe I was the one cheating, and on and on and on. I took a step back. I bought her flowers as an apology. I became highly introspective and recognized I had been a poor husband and partner, and I began to assist more with the kids, the home, turned down business meetings out of town, and tried to be present. But the reasons I thought anything was wrong in the first place did not go away. I told my pals about it and asked for their opinions. They all believed she was doing something wrong, but like good friends, they're just looking out for me, I thought. So, one night, I was chatting to a close buddy and told him that my wife was sleeping upstairs and that I was going to check on her once and for all. As she slept, I her phone and unlocked it with her thumb. My heart was pounding, yet there was nothing to be found. After a few brief erased texts and several bizarre half messages, I scrolled down to see a message from a man called M. It seems benign at first glance, but then I noticed, oops, sorry, didn't utilize the hidden app. What app may he be referring to? So I began searching through her phone. It was concealed beneath folders, but I discovered her WhatsApp. I took a look inside. I chose the first message and clicked on it, and was welcomed by a photo of my nude wife, which was quickly followed by another, and a pic from this man, and a video, and more. I was taken aback since I didn't recognize him. With my heart on the floor, I saw there. I can't describe how I felt at that moment. I was completely destroyed. I began reading he lived in Vegas. She visited him a few months ago with her 2 closest friends. They up he was a huge, urging her to have and mailing her to wear, trying to get her friends involved, and so on. She wasn't even my wife in the way she responded to him. She does not speak in such manner. She is just interested in missionaries, haha. She never wants to discuss about matters. So, who was this person? The talk spanned 3 years. On my 10th anniversary, I took my wife out of town for a romantic evening. When she went to the restroom to change into something more comfortable, she texted in images beforehand, and they congratulated each other on her 10-year anniversary. If you live in California, you understand why. I was sitting on our hotel bed like an idiot, waiting for her. Sigh. Anyway, I misplaced it. I woke her up, tears streaming down my cheeks, and asked her why. I drilled a hole through a double-layered wall, as well as the glass painting that was hanging on it. I was a shambles with blood flowing down my palm. We argued all night, talked, fought, and discussed some more. He was an old buddy who was kind to her kind, and she wasn't receiving it from me, she claimed. The following day, we spoke a lot. I inquired as to what she wanted to accomplish. We had 2 children, a home, careers, and were surrounded by excellent friends and neighbors who cared for us. How could I simply toss everything away? She urged me to remain and promised to change. I gave it a lot of thinking. I consulted with a few friends and family members. I opted to remain for all of the reasons stated above. That our marriage was not without flaws. That I had been in circumstances when I was tempted, and although I never did anything at the time, I could see how she might make a mistake. I gave her another opportunity. I told her I wanted her to ban him from all forms of media, to uninstall WhatsApp, to unlock her phone so I could check it from time to time, merely to reestablish trust. That she continues to be present in our marriage and in our love lives. Everything was agreed upon by her. She said that she felt as if she was leading a double life, and that it was a weight off her shoulders, and that it was nice. And, for the first time in a long time, we were successful. The following 3 months were fantastic. We were hanging out. Our life was exploding, and we were caring for one another again. Then I went on my yearly vacation with my closest man friends out of town. I was gone for 5 days, and everything seemed to be great at first. She was playful, gave me some sensual images while I was gone, told me she missed me all the time. Then she accidentally shared a naked photo to her Instagram story that she claimed she deleted after sending it to me. Oops. Apparently, just 2 or 3 people saw it, and she immediately took it down. I noticed it. I asked her why she'd done it and who she was attempting to send it to. How did a photo like the one you say you deleted wind up on Instagram? I started to grow skeptical once again. I went to check on her phone as soon as I came home, but there was nothing. Clean. Then it dawned on me, she had a work phone as well. When I opened it, there it was. The first message was sent to Claire. Hello, my name is Claire, or Charlotte, or I'm not sure who I'm supposed to be, haha. I hope you had a wonderful day and arrived safely home, to which my wife simply responded with a heart. As it turns out, Claire was really a parent who, together with my wife, volunteered at my children's primary school. I wasn't finished searching. I looked at it more. I took her second phone and went through her Snapchat again. She got a message from a man called P. I confronted her about it. At this time, we were fighting, and the only message I saw from him on Snapchat was, "Yes, darling, looks so amazing. Everything else has been removed." She stated he was only a personal trainer to whom she was sending progress images. Then I swiped up, which I assume opens toward Snapchat chats, and there was a lot more than a personal trainer. She went berserk on me, grabbed her phone, and slammed the door to the bedroom, telling me I was insane and that my frequent invasion of her privacy was pushing her away from me. According to her, I was a domineering, psychologically abusive jerk. The findings continued unabated over the following several days. More rude talks from various men. It's all. Everything was flirty. A, C, P, J, G, M, AB, P, and so on. She assured me that was all from previously, before our big disagreement, and that she was no longer doing it. She never did anything physical with any of these men, and it was all a fantasy. She urged me to try one more, that I believe her, and that she was speaking the truth. I pondered it again for a long time, and this time, I remained. Again, I gave her one more opportunity. I justified my actions by telling myself that I was doing it for the sake of the children. I'd rather live in hell for the next 10 years till my kids are out of the home than miss even a single day in their life. My kids need their dad, I told a friend. Things were going well once again. Not spectacular, but adequate. We were back on track. Everything had improved. We were getting along and not bickering, and the kids enjoyed it since. We were all spending more time together. Then, one by one, things began to return to the old ways. She began to spend more time on her phone once again. We used to have a no phones after 6 p.m. rule in the home, which was gradually disregarded by both of us. She began to withdraw once again. She began by telling little white falsehoods, which were followed by larger ones. I can always tell when my wife is lying, which drives her insane, so I knew she was lying, so I'd confront her about it. And she'd blow up at me, stress out, and say that I'm crazy, and to back off, and she'd do nothing. Her ranting had no longer touched me, and my intuition was warning me that something was wrong once again. I went insane. I began pouring into phone use statistics, placing stuff and drawing open certain amounts to observe what she was using and where she was going. I ran a person's lookup on almost every number that was texting her phone. I wasn't going to be duped or misled again. I was all over her. All over it. I wasn't going to be fooled. But I was, and I did it. It came to an end when I used her thumb to unlock her phone again, and once again I discovered her WhatsApp locked away, and once again I saw messages, this time to a person called S, who is really a business customer of mine. Those texts included some explicit, leave no room for interpretation photos that would make porn stars cringe. Then there were the communications to see. Nothing too explicit, an image here and there, but mostly just comments like, "You deserve more than him," "Run away with me," and "Let's never come back," "I want to go camping and lie out beneath the stars with you," and "I think I love you." All of this occurred in January. Why am I so frail? Why hadn't I gone yet? Why did I give her a third chance? I felt sorry for her. I suspected she was addicted. I felt like I might assist her, and if I did, she may be able to return to giving me the attention she provides to other males. I justified it too. What was I doing there? It was a mystery to me. I'm still perplexed. She swears she's now through with the cheating. She's gotten it out of her system. She will never do that again. She deleted WhatsApp once more for the 10th time. She still refused to show me her phone because she claimed it was a violation of privacy, and she is correct to some level, but she also refused to provide evidence that anything had changed. Enter the coronavirus and the instruction to remain at home. It was difficult. We were all trapped in this mansion. She had nowhere to go, and I was becoming wilder and worse because I could see she was lying to me again. I downloaded WhatsApp on my phone and started sending her messages, waiting to see whether they were delivered. Then I left the home to go get some supper, and when I returned, I discovered that the messages had been delivered. While I was away, she downloaded the app once again. I summoned her. She said I was insane. The next day, she removed her myself by saying it was for the sake of the children. I justified it to myself as a matter of financial stability. She claimed to me that it was all a dream, that nothing was real, that it was her escape, a place where she could be loved without constantly being under my control, my regulations, my interrogations. But I wouldn't have to interview you if you didn't do it again, and I wouldn't have to dig through phone records if I wasn't being explicitly lied to, I added, and I was correct. It was occurring, and the dates on the chats confirmed that she restarted it before I dug into it again. I was correct. For what it's worth, I was correct. She informed me that the more I attempted to tighten my grasp on her, the more I tried to control her, the more she would drift away from our marriage. She displayed no sorrow, just hatred. We had a fight, a great deal. When we began to raise our voices, the youngsters began to cover their ears and flee into another room. Why couldn't I just leave? Count in the app. Her profile was vanished. My best assumption was that she had barred me. She denied it, we shouted again, and she urged me to back off. I requested to see her phone. She flatly rejected. I'm no longer the fun-loving, carefree, spontaneous, giving, and kind man I used to be. I'm skeptical, distrustful, deceitful, and invasive, and I'm a jerk. I'm shattered. I'm in a bad mood. Was she correct? Is it true that she simply deleted it? After a month, I finally got around to installing a new wireless network in the home. One that monitors what all of the devices are doing and which applications are being utilized. And there you have it. WhatsApp is a filthy abomination. She actually did block me from it after 2 hours and 10 minutes of usage yesterday. She disabled her husband's access to the app, so I couldn't see when she was online. I was finished. Enough was enough for me. I walked upstairs, gathered my belongings, and left my residence. I phoned a lawyer buddy and told him everything. He's assisting me with the paperwork. I sat in my vehicle for 4 hours yesterday. I'm sitting in a parking garage, crying, angry, depressed, sad, but yet relieved and pleased with myself. I eventually worked up the guts to check into a motel. My wife texted my phone, wondering where I was, but I didn't respond. I started on my laptop, played some video games, and then crashed. I'm finished. I can't return. She can't stop. I've evolved into a new person, and she has as well. I returned home today, but I moved out of my bedroom and into my guest room. Right now, I can't afford to live in an apartment. Oh, my wife lost her job to COVID. Divorce is a lengthy process, and I didn't want to seem to be leaving my family. I informed my wife that we needed to set out a child custody plan first, and that we would begin implementing it at home while we worked on selling the house and completing the divorce papers. That even though we live in the same home, I would be accountable for the kids on my days, and she would be responsible for the kids on her days. It's not ideal, but it's a start. Today, I still had moments of weakness, of terror, of wanting to go back to her and say, fine, let's just have an open marriage. That, however, never works. I'm much too insane now to let that. No, I have to keep going, putting one foot in front of the other. One step forward, one step back. Update: how things progress from there. We cohabitated for 6 months after discovering she was a serial cheater. I slept downstairs while she slept upstairs. We didn't know what we wanted to do. There was a lot of turmoil. There were moments when we went back to each other, and others when we despised each other and shouted and screamed. It was always worse when she was drinking. Those were the evenings I knew she was still messaging other guys. However, I was unable to get the fortitude to complete my divorce. We met with a mediation lawyer, and I had paperwork prepared. But I couldn't bring myself to sign it. I was terrified of divorce, of what it would mean for me, for my money, for the happiness of my children, for our assets, which included our home and so on. I was frightened. I told myself over and again that I'd rather live in this misery till my kids left the home than break up our family over a choice my so made over and over, until I couldn't anymore. She was drinking with her buddies one day and returned home quite tipsy. I won't go into the intricacies of the tale, but I managed to catch her again. She was emailing her personal trainer, one of the men I knew she had previously cheated on me with. I caught her when she told me she wasn't. She then exploded at me. He called me weak and claimed I'd never file for divorce because I'd never a female hotter than her again in my life, and a slew of other nefarious stuff. Then it dawned on me. I was so composed. I'd gotten to a point where I couldn't turn back. I strolled into my office, opened up the divorce document, docu-signed it, and pushed submit quietly. I stepped back into the kitchen, where my ex was standing, and informed her I had just filed for divorce. I then went back into my office, feeling relieved. Earlier that month, I was discussing my issue with a coworker. He had just filed for divorce and had gone through a tumultuous struggle for child custody, which he eventually won. His example for my position truly touched home for me and helped. I'll repeat it here in case it helps anybody else in the same scenario. Before I filed for divorce, I felt like I was standing on a ladder, knowing she was cheating and knowing what I should do, but not having the courage to do it. I'm up on a ladder, and the earth is fogged in. I can't see anything on the ground. I know I'm on the lowest step, and I know the earth is directly under me, but I can't see it, and it's too dangerous to simply step off. That is, until I did, and the ground was exactly where it should have been. And it was simple and straightforward, and now I'm securely off the ladder and free to travel in any direction I desire. In the weeks that followed, I characterized the sensation as instant alleviation. For years, I felt as if I were standing on the verge of a cliff, my toes dangling over the edge, and the weight of everything pressing and pushing me to leap. But I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do that until the weight of everything became too much for me and I took a step. And as it turns out, free falling is a lot more enjoyable, and the touchdown was smooth and nice. Skip forward to the present. I'm aware that my circumstances here will be unique. I got out rather nicely. I kept the home, and she left. I owe her half of the equity, for which I will make payments to her for the next 5 years, and if I can't afford to pay her share off in 5 years, I will sell the property and pay her. It's a lot of money, $1 million plus house. We divided custody 50/50. She agreed to give up her entitlement to alimony. I also make significantly more than her. According to the state of California calculation, I am paying somewhat more in child support than I owe. I also pay for things like sports, camps, and so forth. We're working with a mediator to finalize the remainder of the divorce, and things are going well. So far, so good, fingers crossed. In terms of everything else, I tried internet dating and had immediate success. It was refreshing to speak with folks who really cared once again. To date, and then go out. Everything had changed. Everything had improved. I received a great boost of confidence that had been entirely crushed in the previous years. It's a very pleasant feeling. My financial situation has improved. My connection with my children has improved. Quantity of quality, she was also incorrect. Now, I still have difficult days. I still have moments of confusion, pain, and fear, but they are becoming fewer and further between. I'm on a much better route now, and I'm feeling hopeful for the first time in a long time. To the person who is still reading this and may have been in my situation, you deserve better. Step down from the ladder to the ground.